Fall camp for the University of Alabama football team and head coach Nick Saban starts this week. First day of practice will be on Friday. But for this program, the opportunity, the journey, the quest, the road to national championship number 18, and for Saban, the chance to tie legendary head coach Paul Bear Bryant with 6 national championships at Tuscaloosa, it starts right now. But for you guys have tuned in to the hottest show, hottest form of conversation in terms of Crimson Tide football. This is, in my own words, the podcast, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. How are we doing this time around, ladies and gentlemen? The conversation all summer has been on quarterbacks. This will be a very entertaining fall camp when you talk Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, the battle within the battle, Mac Jones also in the mix as well. But there are other positional battles that we need to put under the microscope because they are just as important. When you talk about that left cornerback position in the secondary, the defensive tackle spot, Daron Payne is gone in the National Football League with the Washington Redskins. Alabama has depth at nose guard, but who rises to replace Daron Payne? That right tackle position, especially when you think about Nick Saban, offensive line coach Brent Key were experimenting with Jedrek Wheels at right guard. Should that experiment hold up? Matt Womack did not play all spring due to a foot injury. He was your starting right tackle a season ago. You've got some guys battling with him. And also that left guard spot. Who steps up at left guard? So a number of other positional battles that will be under the microscope in fall camp. And that will be the first area of conversation that I will jump into today. Starting this off here at left corner, it's do or die time for Trayvon Diggs. He's entering his junior season, came in 2016, 4-star prospect from Maryland, played both wide receiver and defensive back as a freshman, earned the starting job at left corner last year in fall camp. And for a lot of people, Diggs was frustrating receivers. He was being physical, possessed very strong ball skills, played with a lot of confidence. But against Florida State, busted a few coverages, appeared to be a little bit nervous, was replaced by Levi Wallace. We all know what ended up happening. Levi Wallace controlled the left side of the field and is now on a National Football League roster, the Buffalo Bills. And despite another chance for Diggs, he's under a lot of pressure right now as 3 freshmen are gunning for his spot. When you talk about Patrick Surtain Jr. out of Florida, Josh Jobe out of Miami, Jalen Armour-Davis from St. Paul Episcopal High School in Mobile, Alabama. But of those 3, it's Patrick Surtain Jr. who's created a lot of buzz. What I've heard from sources in summer workout 7-on-7, he looks the part in the weight training process. He looks the part in drills at 6'1", 6'2", 202 pounds. Patrick Surtain Jr. is the real deal. He's gunning for that left corner spot. He's gunning for an opportunity at star in the nickel package. He's even gunning for a spot at safety. He's working toward 3 different positions, but the one in which everybody is very high on him at, that left corner spot, which will put him opposite Savion Smith, the individual at 6'1", 198 pounds, that everybody claims is safe at right corner. Smith, who brings experience over from LSU and the junior college ranks, Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, had a great spring. The coaching staff, his teammates expect him to be a marquee contributor, but it's do or die for Trayvon Diggs when you look at the 3 freshmen, and in particular, Patrick Surtain Jr., who are hot on his trail. Surtain Jr. comes from an NFL pedigree. His father, Patrick Surtain Sr., played 11 seasons in the National Football League with both the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. Number one big-time position battle is at that left cornerback spot. At number two, the Crimson Tide has a lot of depth along the defensive line, but a defensive tackle with Daron Payne gone, who will be the individual called upon to clog up the middle, stuff the run game, kind of possess some pass rush moves to pressure from the inside, collapse the pocket, that type of thing? Quintin Williams would probably be the most popular name here, returning for his redshirt junior season out of Birmingham, Alabama, 6'4", 289 pounds. He totaled 6.5 tackles for loss with 2 sacks a season ago, possesses the quickness to affect the quarterback from the inside, collapse the pocket, can also stop the run. If you remember, prior to him pursuing the National Football League, Jonathan Allen told the media before his career is said and done, Quintin Williams would be the next impact name. Well, this would be the year for him to do that. Aside from Williams, you look at LeBron Ray, Stephon Wynn, Christian Barmore, Fedarian Mathis, Johnny Dwight, Tavita Masika. As I've mentioned, a lot of depth at that defensive tackle spot. You can rotate some guys. You can put some fresh bodies in there. But the question is, who replaces Daron Payne as the alpha dog, as the starter, where this position group is concerned? LeBron Ray at 6'4", 6'5", 294 pounds is at the playing weight that Jonathan Allen was during his time in Alabama. He's right there. And then you got Stephon Wynn, who came in 2018. He's just a shade under 300 pounds at 299. He can play at that spot early and rolly. Christian Barmore can play at that spot. Fedarian Mathis, remember, he came 2017 out of Neville High School in Louisiana. I talked to a number of media pundits about him last season. They kept saying he's cracking heads at practice, he's cracking skulls, he's commanded attention. Johnny Dwight, redshirt senior out of Rochelle, Georgia, 6'3", 301 pounds. He's got a lot of experience at that spot. And then you got Tavita Masika coming over from the JUCO ranks. He's 331 pounds out of College of San Mateo in California. So, number of guys at that spot that can play there. My vote's going on Quintin Williams. We'll see what happens, but defensive tackle is a need. The luxury of this group is that you have Isaiah Boggs and Raekwon Davis opposite of you. You're in between two very good, very solid, very determined pass rushers, so that's a good sign. But number two, defensive tackle, position battle right there. Number three, right tackle. And this depends on Jedrek Wheels, right? Because in spring, Nick Saban, offensive line coach Brent Key decided to experiment some with Jedrek, Kentucky native, at right guard. When he came in as a part of that 2017 class, he and Alex Netherwood out of Pensacola, Florida, both came together. Wheels told the press that during his recruitment, he wanted to play tackle. Playing offensive tackle was his main goal. He wasn't trying to play guard. But you know, when you come to Alabama, Nick Saban is going to experiment with you at different spots to see where do you best fit the team, where does your skill set see its highest potential. And for Jedrek Wheels, the move was right guard in the spring. The move probably didn't suit him well during the A-Day game, but with his size at 6'5", 320 pounds now, I mean, I can see Jedrek Wheels doing a bit better at that right guard position. Should he stay there? Should that be his spot? You look at Matt Womack, Alex Netherwood, Scott Lashley at that right tackle spot. Matt Womack started all of last season at right tackle. The 6'7", 325-pounder out of Mississippi. earned Southeastern Conference Lineman of the Week honors for his performance against Fresno State. Very strong against the run. At times has a little bit of an issue in pass protection. Solid offensive lineman nonetheless, but he missed all of spring due to a foot injury. He's back now. He's healthy now. He would be the projected starter at right tackle. But then if you look at Jonah Williams is going to secure that spot at left tackle. And with Jonah Williams being able to secure that spot at right tackle, if there's an issue with Womack, then you look at Alex Netherwood, who filled in for Jonah Williams in the national championship game against Georgia at left tackle at 6'6", 304 pounds, and did a great job protecting, assisting Tua Tagovailoa to the monster second half that he had, the 3 touchdown passes, including the game winner. And when you look at Nick Saban, very high on Jedrek Wheels and Alex Netherwood. He talked about a lot on finding a role for these two, making sure these two are valued contributors because they have strong upside and can bring a lot to the table. So if Jonah Williams, which he will, lock down that spot completely as the starter at left tackle, if you look at right tackle, Alex Netherwood could potentially be a starter there. Matt Womack right now is kind of penciled in as the guy because of that experience. We'll just have to see. And then, of course, Scott Lashley also in the mix. Young man that's 6'7", 313 pounds, another Mississippi native. Kind of a funny story here. Aside from Jonah Williams, who's 6'5", and former Alabama offensive lineman Barrett Jones, who was 6'5", the Crimson Tide under Nick Saban has never started anybody in either tackle position, left or right, that was under 6'6". Andre Smith, Cam Robinson, Cyrus Kwanjo, all those guys, even Dominic Jackson, all those guys were 6'6", 6'7". Big arms, long arms, huge length to keep the pass rushers away from the quarterback. Jonah Williams, Barrett Jones were the lone 2 guys under Nick Saban that played at a tackle position that were under the 6'6" height requirement. That's interesting. But Scott Lashley is 6'7". He's got a lot of ability as well. But that right tackle spot will depend on if Alabama is sold on keeping Jedrek Wheels at guard. He told the media and his recruitment, I want to play at a tackle spot. If he buys in at guard, then between Womack, Netherwood, Scott Lashley, more than likely Matt Womack will be at that right tackle spot. Should be interesting there. Last but not least, I look at left guard as a position of interest due to there are 2 guys, 2 seniors who will fight for that spot. Lester Cotton and Joshua Kasher. Lester Cotton at 6'4", 325 pounds is unarguably he's the most powerful offensive lineman of the bunch. If we're talking pure power, brute strength, Cotton out of Central High School in Tuscaloosa is the most powerful of the bunch. At times, struggles with footwork, struggles with confidence, but as far as that brute power off the ball, affecting defensive linemen, getting up to the next level and affecting linebackers, he's probably the best of the bunch. If you go back to his performance, 2016 college football playoff semifinal game, the Peach Bowl against Washington, he set the tone for Bo Scarborough's performance. I mean, Scarborough ran right off of Lester Cotton for 180 yards rushing on 19 carries with 2 touchdowns. When he's confident in what he's doing, Lester Cotton's the real deal. And then behind him, you've got Joshua Kasher, of whom is a bit smaller than Cotton at 290 pounds, but possesses all of the ability and is quite versatile. Can play both guard and center, coming out of St. Paul Episcopal High School in Mobile. So that's an interesting spot as well. Everybody's talking about quarterback, and that will dominate the conversation to the first game of the season and even deeper into the season. But left corner, defensive tackle, right tackle on the offensive line, left guard on the offensive line are all key spots to look at. Alabama stacked at running back. You know what to expect from Damian Harris. If Josh Jacobs is healthy, that's a big deal. Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, both looking to come up. At wide receiver, your Alabama stacked there. They can mix and match everything. When you talk Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Tyrell Shavers, Derek Keith, you can mix and match everywhere. Tight end, you're stacked. You got 5 or 6 guys. Hale Henches, Major Tennyson, Irv Smith Jr., Jedrek James. Got a lot of bodies there. At the defensive end position, you're stacked there. At linebacker, where outside guys are concerned, even with Terrell Lewis down for right now, you never know with him, but even with Terrell Lewis down for right now, you still have Anthony Jennings, Christian Miller, Jamie Mosley, Christopher Allen, Iyabi Anoma, of whom a lot of people are already trying to compare to Derek Thomas. I won't step that far just yet, but the guy's got a lot of ability. Also, Jerez Parks. Inside linebacker, you know your 2 main guys, Mack Wilson and Dylan Moses. Now, who behind them can step up is the question. So, Alabama pretty much got things figured out on the majority of different spots, but left corner, right tackle, left guard, defensive tackle, the 4 areas where you may have to put a microscope on if you're an Alabama fan. Taking our first break here on In My Own Words, the podcast. Don't touch that dial, folks, when we get back. I've said this so many times, but I finally have reached a point in the season or in the off season prior to fall camp where I can get back to my list of top 5 in the Nick Saban position, in the Nick Saban era at Alabama at each position. I've been teasing tight ends for a minute. We can finally dive in to these tight ends, and we'll touch it up on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. It's your boy, Stephen M. Smith, host of In My Own Words, the podcast. If you are a fan of this show, then I encourage you to subscribe to the Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube channel. Also follow the brand on Facebook, Twitter, and other forms of social media as we continue to bring you the best in Alabama football and Crimson Tide athletics.